I remember the day when I graduated. I thought that finally I had made it in life. There was no one who even told me that when you go to university, when you graduate, when you pass, it does not mean that you are going to automatically get a job. It was in the year 2013 when I was at University of Joburg. It was my graduation year. I still remember vividly wearing my graduation gown, holding a degree in my hand. I thought that I was holding the keys to the world. I remember my mother standing up. She was also crying because she said that the struggle was over, shouting halala. I never thought that I was going to be an unemployed graduate. She thought that she had raised a man who was going to take her out of the township into the suburbs. This is the reason why we go to school, we study hard, right? To get out of the location so that we can live a much more comfortable life. But South African economy will humble you. After the whole graduation party was over, that was when reality started to set in. By 2014, I had given up. After graduating, the first few weeks, you are excited. You are everywhere, all over the place, applying, speaking with your university mates, those that have gotten jobs, those that has not yet gotten jobs. You think that you are finally going to make it in life, but then life will humble you. The degree was now just a piece of paper sitting in a drawer. I remember that there were days when I would like just email different companies over and over again. I applied, I'm sure, over 500 jobs, walked into different offices until some of the security guards were even told not to allow me to come to the reception because they had already told me that there was no job and I would go back after 2, 3 days. Can you offer me a job? I would even go as far as asking other people to employ me so that I can just get experience, even them paying me half a salary. But they will say, no, we can't do that. No one wanted a graduate without experience. No one wanted to pay a living wage. Hunger is such a strange thing. It starts in your stomach, but it ends up messing up the way that you view life, and there is always an easy way out. It is something that I want you to share with your listeners, and make sure that you do not share my profile when you do that. I want everyone to know who is going to be listening to my story that in life there is always an easy way and a hard way. And usually an easy way will end up with you getting messed up. The easy way, in my own case, I tend to climb instead of waiting upon the Lord, just like my mother had told me to wait upon the Lord. There was no way that I was going to wait upon the Lord when I was hungry as I was. When you see your mother eating bread, dry bread, and tea that did not even have milk for dinner, so that you can have the last bit of rice, something in you breaks, you stop being a graduate and you start thinking about ways that you can quickly make as much money as you can. I became a predator in the location where I was staying. I started hanging around with my friends, those that had only completed matric. Some of them started working in warehouses. Some ended up being cotton drivers, and I was just at home. So I had a friend of mine who was working at a tavern in Midrand. That was where I met him. He told me that if I wanted a temporary job that could help me to put food on the table, so he had this other guy who was washing cars in Midrand as well. That was when I met a group. This group, they were gangsters, a group that called themselves the Foreign Legion, and they were gangsters, but they were gangsters from their own country. Like this, I did not even know that these criminals, they even have rules. If you are a gangster coming from Zim, when you come to South Africa, you just don't steal on your own. You first approach the big guys, those that control that neighborhood. Gang, I am from Zim, I'm a criminal. They even have a much better relationship. When I started to know about this foreign legion, I understood something that I did not know about before that. Do you know that a South African gangster will choose a foreigner over the life of a South African? That was very strange one day when I heard about this. It's like they are more related in their criminal world. They live by their own rules than the rules that we do not even understand. So these were a group of guys usually that came from Zim and Mozambique. So these men, they were stealing cars. These were experienced mechanics, panel beaters. I did not know that a car can be stripped within 30 minutes. When we talk about hard workers, most of you just know hard workers online. People saying that this and this country, these guys are hard workers. I saw it with my own eyes. An Audi Q7 was stripped within 30 minutes. It was just a body, no wheels, nothing. The engine had been removed. Those guys, they were so fast. Everyone was focusing on what he was stripping. At the engine bay, those that were there focusing there. In the car, the dashboard was removed within the blink of an eye. And guess what? There was another guy who had bought an Audi Q7. It was a body on wheels. He wanted the parts. It was changed from one car to another, and then that Q7, the old one that had been stolen, it was burnt. They just left it in the felt and then they burned it. So when I started to see that this is how people make money, you see someone driving a BMW and you are thinking that, oh, this one is blessed, he is a hustler. People are not hustling out there. They are just doing criminal stuff. So because I was someone that went to university, I spoke smooth English, and then I became their intel guy because they were very bad at English, computers. These were just guys from the rural areas that know how to strip cars, how to steal. That was all that they knew. Because I looked professional, I could walk into office parks, secure estates without the guards suspecting a thing. I would scout the cars, usually the cars that they love. They were your Range Rovers, BMWs, report back to them. And they are also dealing with guys that come to put your tracking unit. Those are the guys that know how to quickly disable that tracking unit before you can even blink twice. So these guys, they were not careful. Sometimes I would fight with them because I was afraid of getting a criminal record because I still wanted to be employable one day. And they were always doing stuff without even thinking twice, robbing someone even in broad daylight. One particular incident that I still remember, I remember a Zimbabwean guy that we used to call him Taps. One afternoon in broad daylight, we were in a busy parking lot, I'll say in Centurion. He walked up to a white Mercedes. It had nice mags. There were people everywhere, cameras. I was sitting in the getaway cab. My heart was even beating so fast. I thought that I was going to faint. I was waiting for any siren, then I would just run away. Taps did not even look around. He just tied. He always had this at the skin of a cow that he said his grandfather had killed, and they had spilled the blood of that bull on top of the grave and made a bangle that he would always tie around his wrist, and he would whisper something, not to himself. When he wants to hijack a car that is in the parking lot, he would whisper and talk to the car, and he would do this talking in Shona. And when he starts to touch that car, he would just open the door, no alarm, no struggle, nothing. Then another guy, Gift, he was the panel beater mechanic. If he sits in the driver's seat, even if this car does not start, You will just do things and it will just start. The immobilizer will stop working. They were so fast. And then when he started driving that car, I thought that maybe the alarm was going to ring. I had to wait a couple of minutes before I started driving the getaway car because I was afraid that as he was driving past a security guard who was looking at the car, I thought that he was going to be stopped, but no, nothing happened. That guard, he walked away. He did not even look twice. I waited and then I drove as if I was someone that had finished doing his own shopping. When we met at a chop shop later, to those that do not know what a chop shop means, it is a place or a house. If your car is stolen, they drive towards that house and then they remove the parts that they want from your car, usually the engine. That is what they are looking after, and then they go and dump your vehicle. So that is where I met them later. I was shaking. I could not even stand because I was so afraid that we were going to get arrested. We had not yet done this in broad daylight in a place that was so crowded like that. I asked him and I said, Taps, how did you manage to take this car? It did not even make any noise. He laughed and then he tossed money at me because we were always paid. It's either by the Nigerians or by people that had scrapyards. And he said, you South Africans, you don't think much about the spirit. You think about your brain. In business, you don't only use your brain. You also need to use your ancestors. Your ancestors, they are hunters. They can hunt for you. And whenever I take a car, I know that I am hunting an animal that if I get money, I go back and then I tell my ancestors that this is what I have gotten. You need to give me more. As a graduate, I believed in science. I told him maybe it was just luck, superstition, but every time it happened, I would see it again. I saw it again. They would walk into a house. There was this other house that belonged to a colored man. There were three big dogs, those black Rottweilers. They were inside. The moment that we stopped the vehicle, these Rottweilers, they started to bark. As we were checking the street, it was very quiet. When Taps and another guy got out of the car, those dogs, they were even fighting amongst themselves. They were so angry. They were barking, trying to jump the fence. But the moment that Taps started to speak with them, those dogs, they lied down and slept. And then they went inside. They collected stuff. I would taking the stuff and putting them in the boot of the car. I saw them drive through roadblocks. Even though we had things inside our boot, I was so afraid, but they would the police would not even search us. They would just let us through without even looking at us twice. I became so obsessed. One night, he told me about that bull that they had slaughtered in Zim and how each and every year they had to slaughter a bull, and this bull is the one that made him not to be arrested by the police. If he wanted to enter a certain house, he would enter into that house without any problems at all. This made me to become more excited. And he told me that he knew of this other traditional healer that was in Mozambique. This healer could help me to connect with my own ancestors so that I can be able to steal without being seen. I thought that he was joking as he was talking about blood sacrifices, and he said that there was 40,000 rands that was needed if I could save money, which I could not save money like the way that they were saving, because as for me, I had a family to feed. My mother back in Soweto, she was also looking up to me because my mother, she thought that I had gotten a job in Midrand, but she did not know that this was what her son was doing. Finally, we tried to steal this other BMW. We did not know that it was a state vehicle. Hey, brother, that was so terrible. I got arrested and I stayed in prison. I then came out of prison And when I came out of prison, reconnected with my gang. But this time around, I did not want to continue doing these criminal activities. I wanted something that could give me money once and for all, and then I will be able to live life as a rich man. So I connected again with Tubbs. He was still stealing cars. I asked him to give me some money, and he said, "Let us go, let us steal." We continued to steal about 6 cars, and then I got my money, and then we went to Mozambique. My journey to Mozambique, when we went there, we arrived in Mozambique. It was much, much better because that Mozambican Sangoma, he speaks perfect isiZulu, so it was easy to communicate with him. I told him that I wanted the charms, but not the charms like your taps had. I wanted charms to give me money once and for all. I did not want to steal anymore. The rituals, they lasted for 7 days. Each and every day, there was a different ritual until I was given the fat from a Sandawana that the Sangoma claimed he had killed. He told me that I was never going to be a car thief anymore. I was someone that was going to make money, and this Sandawana, it was going to assist me. I was then told that I was supposed to pay. So when he told me on the 7th day, and he said, for us to complete these rituals, you are supposed to pay. I thought that maybe Taps had not yet given the Sangoma his 40,000. Taps looked at me and he said that I have already paid, but there is another payment that I did not tell you because I was afraid that if I tell you about this payment when we were still in South Africa, you were going to refuse. I then said, what kind of a payment do you want? That was when I was told that I was supposed to put a down payment of my youngest sister. Your brother Nash, that was so painful because she was just starting high school and she was supposed to die. The Sangoma then handed back the 40,000 to Taps and they said, this 40,000 is the one that you're going to use on your funeral and you are going to get money and I want you to bring me back my money. So we returned back to South Africa. When we came back to South Africa, brother, I looked at my young sister and I started to cry. When I was inside of the car, she did not see me crying. She came, we spoke. She did not know that her brother had decided to sacrifice him. I was supposed to buy a gift for him, and I did so. When she was at school, that was when she fell down, she was rushed to the hospital. When my mother called me and told me that we were supposed to meet at the hospital because my sister had collapsed and she was admitted in the hospital, I told my mother that I was going to meet him at the hospital, but I did not go there. For I had been told that you are not supposed to go there because if you go there, you are going to die or you start to run mad and you are going to tell everyone to confess that you have sacrificed your own sister. So I did not go there. I did not even visit her in the mortuary. As the funeral was taking place, I pretended as if I was so sad because of what had happened. I bought for him a nice coffin. I bought for her a nice dress, using up all of that money that I had brought with me from Mozambique. Even the last 10 rand that I had, I even gave some of my brothers, my cousin brothers, sons that were them to go and buy whatever that they wanted. But I said this to them in secret. Make sure that you spend each and every single cent until you have finished spending it. If there was any adult that had me, I'm sure that the person was going to be suspicious. If it happens maybe later on in the future, if these boys, maybe when they are all grown up, if they start to ask themselves, why is it that when auntie passed away, uncle gave us 10 rand and told us that this money that I have given to you, I want you to go and spend it. Spend each and every single cent. Maybe they are going to know that their uncle was a ritualist, but I do not know if they will still remember about that. So that is what I did at my sister's funeral. After my sister had been buried, I pretended as if I just wanted to go and drink alcohol. But I went to the cemetery where I met up with another Mozambican Sangoma. I had been given his phone numbers. He was the one that was going to assist me with further rituals. Then I urinated on my sister's grave. As I was urinating on my sister's grave, I was crying. Then the Sangoma came and hit me with a shambok and asked me why I was crying. And I said that I was crying because I was feeling so bad about what I was doing to urinate on my sister's grave, yet I was the one that had sacrificed him. The Sangoma then said, "My son, if you want this money, you need to urinate on a grave as you are cursing her, because that is the only way that she can become angry. And when she is angry in her grave, the more the money that is going to come to you." So we returned back to the car, drank a lot of water, waited for about 45 minutes when I felt the need to pee again, and we returned back to her grave, and I peed on her grave, cursing the life out of her. And there was a spark on her grave, and the Sangoma started to laugh. It was a strange demonic laughter as this Sangoma was laughing. And then the Sangoma told me that the ritual was complete. So we were supposed to return back home because now her spirit was angry. And since her spirit was angry, she was going to claim the lives of the other family members, my blood relatives, so that they can die and join him in the grave because she is angry. So after the ritual, we returned back home and the Sangoma went on his way. I returned back to Mozambique to thank that traditional healer. By then, I had not yet seen a Sandawana with my own eyes. So after that sacrifice had happened, to this very day, we have buried 15 family members. Per year, there will be two people that would die, and all of them, they would die, sometimes one after the other. I have uncles that died in accidents. I had an uncle of mine who was working in KZN, but on a sugar plantation. As he was driving the tractor, then he got up from the tractor. I don't know what he wanted to do, but he fell down. So this tractor, it drove past him. He had engaged the gear that the tractor can drive on its own. And then he was looking for something that was making noise or something. And then the tractor, it stepped over him and he died. I have a cousin who drowned in a swimming pool that was not even that deep. It was just shallow. I have aunties that have died. Both of them, I still remember that they were returning back to KZN from Joburg. And my other auntie, she was from Pretoria. They were not supposed to go to KZN together, but they ended up going together. And they were supposed to die on that very same day. So they were in a taxi, and then that taxi had an accident and they died. My brother, my own brother, who helped me to start a small business that was not successful, it was the most painful death because he was shot in a hijacking gone wrong. They did not even take anything. It was as if those gangsters had been sent to kill him. That was all. So when I count, 15 people have died so that I can be able to drive a nice car, to stay in a beautiful covenant. The worst part that they do not tell you when you are doing money rituals, these creatures like the Sandawana that I have, it has a mind of its own, because as I was told by the Sangoma that you are supposed to listen to me first. Do not listen to this Sandawana, because this is a spirit of a person that was killed. And a person that was killed is very angry. He can trick you to do things so that the covenant can last forever, because the covenant that I have with this Sandawana, it is supposed to expire in 2036. Then after 2036, then I can die. But I am okay with that, because 10 years is quite a lot that I am left with to live, to enjoy life, because I have gone to places that I never thought that I will ever be able to go to because of this Sandawana. So the healer told me that I should never, never listen to the Sandawana because it will whisper words to me so that we can extend the covenant, or when I die, this covenant can move maybe from me to one of my brother's son so that this spirit of this Sandawana can stay in our family forever until our whole entire family has been wiped off from the face of the earth. And the Sangoma told me that I am supposed to plant a small flower at my house. So each and every morning when I wake up, I go to that flower, I kneel down, I pour traditional beer, and I do this because the spirit that I collected from Mozambique is now my ancestor. I do not speak with my ancestors anymore. I have replaced my ancestor with this spirit. So my mother, even though she is still staying in Soweto, but there was a time that I even tried to move her out of Soweto, and she started to stay in a secure estate in Midrand. And my mother, she started to see people walking in the house late at night. My mother then asked me what was happening. She could not understand. And because my mother believed that they were jealous neighbors that were bewitching her from Soweto, I spoke with the Sangoma in Mozambique and I said that this is what is happening. My mother is seeing dead people. I am afraid that maybe these dead people, they will end up telling him the things that I did at your shrine. So the Sangoma said, I want you to steal anything from any of your neighbors. I returned back to Soweto. I pretended to be staying in Soweto at my father's house, where my mother is staying right now. I was looking for a perfect opportunity to steal anything from the neighbors. One day, there was one of the neighbor who made a mistake. She had washed a lot of clothes and then she was hanging some of the clothes on the Jura hole that separate my father's house and her house. At first, I stole one dress that belongs to him, but then I thought and I said, if I only steal one, they will say that it is my mother. So let me steal all of the clothes. So all the clothes that she was hanging, I stole them and I went and I threw them, the ones that I did not need, only for the dress. So they thought that it was a nyaupe. Even at my father's house, I even stole some stuff, shoes that were outside, so that when people hear that there is someone that has stolen from your house, they will just think that it is a nyaupe boy who stole that stuff. So I went to Mozambique with that dress. Usually those that think that they are being bewitched by their neighbors, this is what happens. The dress that belongs to that old woman was put on top of a grave that is the grave of a Mozambican woman who died, and she was a well-known witch. So her spirit started to possess this old woman in Soweto, and my mother, she started to see a witch. And whenever those dead people would appear, they'll be wearing the face of her neighbor. To this very day, she blames all the people that are dying in our family. She says that it is her neighbor who is the witch. She does not speak with him anymore. It is far much better because it removes the attention from me. So usually when you have a dream, maybe you need to consult with someone like a Sangoma to know if the person that you are thinking is bewitching you is the real person that is bewitching you. But you need to know that it is possible as well that the person that you think is bewitching you is not the person that is bewitching you. It might be someone that is being possessed by the spirit of a witch who passed away. So here I am, Brother Nashim. I am not allowed to marry. I can only date women. If a woman falls pregnant, then she is supposed to remove that pregnancy because my family, one day it is supposed to be wiped off from the face of the earth. There is no one that is supposed to remember my grandfather's name, my father's name anymore. I am living a nice life. I am no longer involved in criminality, but I just to warn other people. Some of us, we are using the spirits that we got from Mozambique, your Sandawanas, but we do not rest. because we know that we are supposed to continue sacrificing. Like in my own case, this year I am supposed to sacrifice again. This will be the 16th person in the family that is going to die. There is a part of me that does not want to do this, but I have to do this because I do not have any choice at all. If I refuse to sacrifice, I am the one that is going to die. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to us by one of our dear brother. Let us speak with him in the comment section. Your strange things indeed, they do happen in this world.